Thanks to the game Secret of the Mimic, we've uncovered a lot of lore. So much so that even I got wondering about something in particular. And boy howdy, is this theory gonna be a game changer. Or perhaps it's more so the game is more of a game changer for theories. Both quite literally in some cases. So before I continue, I'm giving you all a spoiler warning for Secret of the Mimic, as there will be a big reveal about a particular secret. So, if you're still here, you better be ready, because this is going to be a big one. If you played through the game and attained the correct ending, which I call the parachute ending thanks to the command prompt on the computer parachutes.exe, you can unlock New Game Plus. And this is where the secret really lies. You need to have New Game Plus unlocked to attain this and to have collected. I don't necessarily know if you need all the collectibles or just a mass majority of them, or specifically a certain set of them, because some don't seem like they are entirely necessary. But in New Game Plus, when you enter the first office, you receive the White Tiger plush, which can be put into the minigame moon.exe. Throughout the game itself, you can only attain 23 of the 25 collectibles until you start doing the parachute ending. And that is where you'll receive the 24th, but you'll only get the 25th through New Game Plus. When you have them all, or at least I presume you can... Oh, I've already said that basically. So, when you beat the parachute ending for the first time, that's not what I'm looking for. So, when you beat Moon EXE for the first time, you will unlock a particular power, which I cannot remember the name of, but let's refer to it as glitch access. This is applied to your device, which allows you to unlock 6 rooms hidden at the end of the secret ending. Inside these 6 rooms, you will find cartridges that says bedtime story on them. Once you unlock, once you enter one of the rooms, you will find 6 tape recorder things. I'm not really sure what to call them. They look exactly like the audio devices you find in the game, where you insert these 6 bedtime story cartridges. It will unlock the vent, and through that vent is a secret room which is very eerily familiar, because it is a reflection of the room in FNAF 4. And that straight up cannot be a coincidence. The main interactable inside that room is a storybook pillar of some kind, which you need to interact with. And to interact with it properly, you need the White Tiger plush that you could only get from New Game Plus. So when you start by placing the White Tiger plush on it, the Mimic is in the closet. And if you know anything about the lore at this point, it is a very interesting case. So, for the longest time, we believed the Mimic went by the name M1, which in itself was clever, because M1, if you say MIC after that, it looks like it spells Mimic. But we were wrong. M1 is not the Mimic we initially thought. but instead is the Mimic brought about to be Edwin's dead wife, Fiona, which we see as M1 on one of the birthday film reels during this ending. That Mimic is M1. The Mimic we see in the closet, and the one that had been chasing us the whole time, is M2, Edwin's second Mimic creation. The one he attempted to make, and he tried to trash because it tried to replicate David, his son. We find that out through certain audio tapes and interactions with Fiona, which at this point is F1-ONA, which is the replica of his wife. I'm not sure why or how M1 became Fiona as a machine rather than the Mimic. I don't know what caused that. But I also don't know how David had died, like his son. I don't know how he died. So that's one of those things that's really confusing there. The big thing though is that it was Fiona as M1 that tried to convince in one of the audio tapes David to make M2 to bring David back. And on top of that, Edwin was not happy. So he started screaming at M1 as well, saying that M2 would not be his son and M1 is not his wife. And that is more than likely just because he regrets losing Fiona, the real Fiona, to the Fire of Fallfest, which we find out through the audio tapes and files throughout the game. The mail files. So anyways, this theory, why I'm doing this, comes around because of M2 specifically. That room you find M2 in. M2 is meant to replicate David, Edwin's lost son. Don't know how he died again. But it's exactly that which got me thinking about this theory. Why the name David? It's like Steelwool, and especially Scott Cawthon, chooses names very specifically. Names, colors, you name it. There is certain things that are very specifically chosen, and it's just odd when something's different. The name, however, is very specifically odd to me as well, because recently we finally discovered, thanks to the security logbook, who the crying child's real name is, as Dave Afton. Dave being short for David. If we're going based off the canonical timeline, Dave, I believe, should not be alive at this point. So why did Afton name his child Dave in relation to Edwin's child David? There's got to be a reason for that, right? And it's just that. Why is it so specific? Why the name David? Why does the room in Secret of the Mimic look like the FNAF 4 room, but with differences? And there's so much about that. It all clicked. The answer was staring at us the entire time. I kept asking why, but not how. How did it all get like this? How did the Mimic M2 survive during this whole process? And it's one of those things, like, it clicks. M2 survived because of William Afton. William took M2. But where was M2 this whole time? the one thing that I can say for certain is that M2 turned MCM facility somehow into the Mega Pizzaplex from Security Breach. It explains why the Mimic returned to MCM after taking the device in the base ending of this game, and it also explains why the Mimic was in the basement during the both the secret ending to Security Breach, where we thought it was Burn Trap, but it's actually the Mimic disguised as Burn Trap, and in the Ruin DLC we find the Mimic there, M2. So why all this? Why is the Mimic doing all this specifically? As I'm saying this, I've just clicked with a new idea which I'll mention later. So M2 was found by William, but where was M2 this whole time? Because we know the FNAF 1 facility is in MCM. We see everything getting put together, but M2 is down there alongside Fiona. So it makes you wonder, where did Fiona go as well? The whole place burned down during this ending. And a lot of this really turns things on its head when thinking about it. Because I've said this a couple times, the secret room looks like the room from FNAF 4, but mildly different. And what if, and this is the idea that turns everything on its head, what if Afton took M2 to replicate David, but as William's own son, Dave Afton? That M2 is Dave Afton, the crying child. It would explain the illusion discs, how they work, because they could be setting off frequencies to affect a machine rather than a person. So that will explain why he's locked away in the FNAF 4 room, as well as a little bit about Midnight Motorist. And also the constant checking in with the psychic friend Fredbear, those illusion discs and everything. The bite of 83, when he said, "I would put you back together," he literally meant it. He would put the Mimic back together because it was damaged. And I realized when I was going through this that, what if I'm wrong? And anybody could be wrong with a theory. But what if I got this wrong? Because there was something about Midnight Motorist that really bothered me, and that's the footprints. Why are the footprints there? And this is where it clicked instead. If I'm wrong that Dave Afton is David, sorry, about this. If I'm wrong about Dave Afton being David, then where has the Mimic been this whole time? I literally said it a moment ago. The footprints makes no sense. And one other thing has been bothering me for years. Psychic friend Fredbear, as MatPat likes to call him. What if M2 was actually Psychic friend Fredbear? It would explain the color difference in the line of "I will put you back together." Because it was the Mimic replicating his voice this whole time. It was the Mimic using William's voice to talk to Dave. It would also explain as to why Psychic friend Fredbear was literally, as MatPat puts him, he's here, he's there, he's everywhere. He was a flower. He was following you when you were out and about. He was everywhere. The Mimic can move by adapting to any costume it puts itself in. So surely it put itself in the small bear plush that Dave had. And if those footprints outside the bedroom in Midnight Motorist are actually the Mimics, then it would explain a few things, but not enough. It just adds more questions. And this is purely because I don't have everything together. I have finished the game entirely, Secret of the Mimic. I just don't have enough lore to really understand everything. I know that Fiona died in the fire of Fallfest. I don't know how Dave died because in one of the audio tapes, Edwin is saying something on the lines of how could she leave him because of the fire, how he has to explain to David that he doesn't have a mother anymore. It was in one of the birthday tapes as well, that she wasn't around, so Edwin created M1 and all that. Like it comes together, but it's also so far apart. I don't really know how to explain everything, so, unless if I actively record the whole thing and put it together. But genuinely, my theory initially was, is the Mimic pretending to be Dave Afton, or is the Mimic actually the psychic friend Fredbear, replicating William's voice when he says, "I will put you back together"? Not William. William didn't do it. The Mimic did it. Which would explain the bedroom and possibly the nightmare animatronics. Because the Mimic put Dave Afton in a rebuilt version of his original bedroom as David. And he had been watching him as psychic friend Fredbear in that room. That would explain so much. Well, it could be watching I mean, I can't remember if it was a golden bear on the bed or if it was a regular bear on the bed. All I know is that I'm fairly sure the Mimic had something to do with all of that. So this whole theory is absolutely wild, and it is a lot of speculation. But genuinely, it is terrifying to know all of this at this point. With all my rambling, because I don't want to edit this, with all my rambling, I'm sorry for going on so long, there is one last thing that is bothering me, and I've seen it pop up twice at least in the game. The number 4625 appears a couple times in the game. Nurse Dolly says it, and I think Edwin says it at one point. I don't know why that number appears. I don't know what it means, but I know it is something in particular. So yeah, this is my theory and speculation of what the secret of the Mimic is. They are either Dave Afton or psychic friend Fredbear. Logically speaking, I think he is psychic friend Fredbear because of the Midnight Motorist footprints, which makes no sense to me. But the whole Dave and David Afton David and Dave Afton thing just lines up too coincidentally to me. So make what you will. Hopefully, this theory or speculation helps understand something for everyone.